Good morning and welcome to the July 1st episode of MSP Dispatch, your source for news, community events, and commentary in the MSP channel. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Tony Francisco. How you doing, Tony?
Excellent, Ray. Excellent. July 1st, 4th of July, right around the corner. Any plans?
Fireworks, drinking, and barbecue or grilling. I think I can't complain. But before we get into the 4th of July weekend, we have 3 hot stories, including Cloudflare's new partner program, NCE changes delayed, and it is the year anniversary of Kaseya. So what do you say we get into it?
Let's get into the news.
Our first story is Cloudflare's new partner program for SMB agencies and hosting partners is now in open application. They had a closed beta late last year being served by their self-serve teams working with a few partners. They are now opening it up to much more partners. The new partner program is for agencies, regional MSPs, and hosting providers. It will include multi-tenant account support, centralized self-service billing, access to the full catalog of self-serve products, and add-ons via the dashboard and API. It's going to include self-service plan discounting, no upfront commitments. A full comparison of partner programs and sign-up link will be in the article linked in the description below. Tony, these programs, Cloudflare has tons of offerings. They have the obvious DDoS mitigation. They have page rules. They have SSL certs for forced encryption of the connection to the endpoints. They have domain registrations, which I've been using for a long time. Access to all of this was originally only allowed in the enterprise plans for multi-tenant access, which had heavy upfront commitments. They specifically say they've talked to the MSP partners who don't want to do upfront commitments, so they want just consummation-based billing with no upfront commitments, and that's exactly what this partner program addresses. How do you think that's going to affect the landscape for MSPs?
All I hear is support for the MSPs. That's all I hear. I hear that we're extending the olive branch to what they would consider to be the non-enterprise players, which is absolutely, and for all intents and purposes, the bottom of the pyramid, which is a majority of the businesses out there. I think this is something that's enabling the channel community that we speak to every single day in a way that wasn't able to be done. It was very siloed before. It was just another vendor relationship. But if they now have the mechanisms to support the channel base to do their business in a more frictionless process, they, in theory, can consume and supply more of their services to the very customers that were just a hair out of reach because of that last mile, which the MSP is kind of bordering on. I think this is a huge win for the MSP, in my opinion. I'm really interested to see how this is perceived across the board, because all I'm hearing about are the new distributors, the new larger players rolling out better channel programs, better tools for the MSPs to deal with their business. That's all I hear about every single day. And we're not talking about what's just happening. We're talking about the next 6 to 9 months. These new releases and these new partner platforms are coming out. And what I hear is Cloudflare doing the exact same thing. This is awesome. That's what I hear. Ray, unpack it for me. What are your thoughts?
I mean, Cloudflare is it's one of those companies, we've talked about it before. When they have hiccups, mistakes are going to happen. They're known for putting out those awesome blogs, the deep dive, telling what went wrong and how they're fixing it. They have a ridiculous suite of offerings that MSPs have used for years, including a bunch of free offerings. I love to see a partner like this go talk to MSPs first and then develop the program specifically citing MSPs. They didn't say channel, they didn't say VARs. They specifically cited MSPs in discussions with them before creating the final version of this program. I love that. That to me says a vendor's paying attention to the right things. They're going to market with the right options, and they're specifically attacking the MSP market, which we all know is a hugely, insanely profitable market for the right vendors. This is all rainbows and unicorns as far as I'm concerned. This is awesome. So I'm very excited for it. I can't wait to see what new offerings they have. Cloudflare has very advanced networking options, including their Magic Transit, their POPs and CDNs all over the world. They even have restreaming options that specifically. So to open this up to MSPs, it's phenomenal. Speaking of partner changes, Tony, Microsoft did it again, right? What's going on over there?
Microsoft delays another NCE deadline. As indicated in CRN.com, the original deadline for partners to move all renewals to the NCE program was July 11th, 2022. At this point, the new deadline is undetermined, but since March 10th, 2022, all new orders will be moved to the NCE program. Legacy subscriptions will remain on legacy subscriptions until a renewal is mandated. And that renewal, if it came after the July 11th mark, was automatically going to move into the NCE program. Unfortunately, due to the delays, there is no determined date when that will be. Consequently, if there is a new renewal happening on July 11th, that means July 11th, 2023, that is possibly going to be the new deadline for the NCE program. What isn't changing is the blocking of new orders on the legacy CSP subscriptions that was implemented in March 10th, 2022, the termination on January 1st, 2023 of monthly incentives and rebates to partners on the legacy CSP commercial seat-based subscriptions. Those are not changing. Ray, I have so many questions for you. There's so many artifacts from the legacy system. There's so much entanglement into the new CSP NCE relationship. The caliber of the relationship that partners are now feeling with Microsoft is at a confusing state now. And this particular deadline, in my opinion, was postponed because of all of the technical operational underpinnings involved in converting to an NCE governing mechanism, the new commerce experience governing mechanism that mandates a 1-year subscription or month to month with a 20% increase in the price for the end retail customer. That's my opinion. I don't think everybody has been able to implement the technical underpinnings to support that. What is your opinion on this?
So, NCE deadlines, March, April, June, July, so on and so forth. The only thing that's consistent with this is the amount of changes that we can expect. Um, eh, you know, I will put on my tinfoil hat here, and let's be honest, this has been the most frustrating thing for absolutely everybody involved, between the distributors that have no idea what to expect and the changes that keep getting put last minute, including the day of or the day after proposed deadlines, the MSPs that don't know what to sell, when to sell, how to sell, or what to price, or what they're on the hook for. You know, this is just the pain of the clients, explaining. If we can't understand this and distributors don't understand this, Microsoft can't explain it properly. How do we explain this to clients? You know what I mean? We had a year to prepare, and there was still turmoil all this year about it. Um, so for Microsoft to do this again, I'll be honest, I don't even know that it's a technical thing, in my opinion. Uh, I'm going to say this is just pure frustration. And Microsoft, you need to do better. Um, what I'm going to put my tinfoil hat is how I started this, and I'm going to say, if I was a betting man, I would say put two programs together. Say we're going to increase prices month to month. We're going to increase prices annually, and we're going to make partner changes. Let's give you a bad guy to hate. We're going to make partner changes where you're on the hook for clients that don't pay and clients that cancel within a year. And let's make you all move all your subscriptions over to something instead of just doing it automatically and making it easier. Um, let's give you a bad guy to hate so that you focus on that and forget about the price changes. So none of the hemming and hawing for price changes. And then when we get rid of the NCE changes, oh, we listen to the community. We're fantastic. We love you guys. We're listening and we want to do better. But also we're making a crap ton more money because we raised all the prices. Now,
I feel like you're implying there is a distract and evade tactic going on here. Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying Sun Tzu would have been proud. Um, you know, it's, and again, I have no inside information on this. This is pure conjecture on my part. I'm not speaking on behalf of anybody else or based on any information. I'm just saying the magic trick that was pulled off was amazing. I'm waiting for like some hidden Easter egg of a rabbit coming out of a hat in the source code for one of these Microsoft pages. Um, and let's be honest, when this first started, a lot of the partners were saying there's no way this is going to happen. There was petitions, there was all this nonsense or all this stuff, not nonsense, because you do what you can, you hope for the best, but let's be honest, Microsoft doesn't listen to petitions. Um, but there was all this stuff going on in the beginning that nobody really expected it to really happen, or we were hoping it wouldn't happen. Just like they backed off on the TechNet stuff, they backed off on the Action Pack stuff, they backed off on internal use rights. Um, you know, and then the pricing program stayed the same. The NCE changes delayed indefinitely, quote unquote. Even though there's not a lot of changes to that, I, I'm just honestly my only takeaway from this is let's see what change happens next. I mean,
Well,
it's been a
I,
year. What's the next bad guy?
hindsight is a game that everyone wins, and there's a pattern to everything. Uncovering the data trends and the correlation is what's important, and we do that here at MSP Dispatch. I would love to hear from everyone out there. What is your opinion of this? Does it hurt you? Does it help you? But patterns are everything, and sometimes those patterns repeat themselves. Ray, do you have anything that you can remember that happened maybe a year ago today?
Speaking of a year ago, tomorrow marks the 1 year anniversary of the infamous Kaseya breach, uh, the most major and first of the major MSP tools to get breached in a broad fashion, affecting many, many, many MSPs. Even a year later, we bring this up because while there's not been another breach since with Kaseya, and honestly, it could happen to everybody. It could happen to anyone, anybody. Um, this is absolute. Nobody's blaming Kaseya specifically for this. Um, we want to remember some of the takeaways. We want to remember some of the lessons we've learned even a year later because it's still a topic of discussion. Those takeaways being malicious actors will look for days off. U.S. holidays. Today's Canada Day. Happy Canada Day for our friends up north. And on Monday is 4th of July weekend, which makes this a long weekend for a lot of people. These are the kind of weekends that malicious actors look for, so they can do their dastardly deeds, and you may not notice. Now, if you have one of those 24/7 SOC SIEM services, you should notice. If your knock alerts are set up, you should notice. But just the takeaway is let's be vigilant. Let's cross our fingers, hope for the best, and nothing happens this weekend. But let's keep an eye on, be vigilant nonetheless. Tony, a year later, um, I feel like everybody addresses new vendors, everybody addresses their own product stack. Now with the Kaseya incident, at least somewhere in their mind, right? Saying this could happen to me. Do we have backup plans? How would we handle? I've seen MSPs be a lot more cautious with this. What about you? I mean, are you seeing any lifelong lessons even a year later from this initial incident?
Well, I think we can all agree that the bitterness of poor quality, which eventually rears its ugly head, remains long after the sweetness of low pricing. And the problem with that is everyone's trying to create the best value from both the perception of the customer and the end deliverables. Sometimes the price decrease erodes at the operational underpinnings, which includes security. And those particular weak points can be exploited like that. 1 year ago, today, tomorrow, um, I remember devoting my team to helping the MSP community in pulling out of that horrific situation. And it was weeks and weeks and weeks of work. You can't unring that bell. So if there's anything that we've learned from that, it's not just stay vigilant, it's stay vigilant with a process, with an extraordinarily consistent structure and setting standards that there is no deviation from. Because again, those small cracks are what's exploited, and that was a devastating time for our MSP community. I can't emphasize the emotional impact that actually had. But again, circling back, I believe that the concept of a security offering is symbolic and nourishing to the intellect of the customer as a photo of oxygen to a drowning human. That's one thing to say, but it's an entirely tangible and realistic item that you have to not only implement, but also nurture and evolve for your customer. And in doing that, hopefully you're going to have an incredibly nice long weekend on this 4th of July Canada weekend. But if you haven't done that, please stay alert. Look at every one of your event logs. Make sure that somebody is constantly looking at your customer base. If there's ever a time to attack, as we've learned, this is the time. So sorry for Ray for talking about that in great length, but I just remember the emotional impact that had on me and my team as we were doing our best to help the very MSP community that we're talking to today.
Oh, absolutely. And, it was definitely an emotional time. I listened to, Robert Chaffee, I listened, Jay Tip didn't tell their stories about it. It's definitely, I still get goosebumps every time I hear it, even a year later. So definitely an emotional time. But we're not going to leave you on that bad note. Let's give some notable mentions of some good stuff. Ding dong, 2012 is dead.
Microsoft is finally sunsetting Server 2012. The end of support in October 2023 is going to be the final death knell of Server 2012. For those of you who still use it, and there's a lot of you, please take the appropriate actions. I want to focus on the fact that even though you're still using an older technology, if you have it locked down in a way that frankly is considered secure, it's okay to use for a while longer. But if you are using it in an extremely dynamic, robust function, please take the proper steps. That you're a low-hanging fruit to the hackers out there. And since the end of support is going to be there, the evolution of those exploits is going to become exponential. The reaction to those exploits is going to be much slower.
In a let's do some good, our favorite cyber protector, Matt Lee, is leading the initiative to shave that beard. Several people, including our own Jason Slagle, Alex Farling of Lifecycle Insights, and many others, are going to be shaving their beard for charity. We'll include the link below so you can donate. We're trying to get to $100,000. And if we can get there, every single one of those people are going to shave their beards that they've had, many of them pre-COVID. And it's an awesome initiative. There's many charities that are listed there. Everyone's nominated their charities. So let's help if you can. We'll include the link below. Let's do some good.
We won't even recognize them when they're done. We won't even recognize these people when they're done. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I knew Jason before he had a beard. I cannot picture him without a beard. I've gone brain blind when it comes to that. But speaking of other stuff coming up, Tony, what's coming up next week?
We have some great community events. Today, episode 2, 38 at 38, featuring Vicky, Bruns. On the 5th, we have the MSP Dispatch presented by the MSP Media Network. On the 7th, we have Partner First, protecting the SMB community, contemporary lessons from the field. And finally, on the 8th, we have the MSP Dispatch weekly wrap-up presented by Ray and Tony.
Yay. All right, Tony, that takes us out for this July 1st, 2022 episode of MSP Dispatch. Thanks as always for your commentary and insight. I appreciate you. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, man.
You too. And to everyone else out there, have an incredible 4th of July weekend. And to the Canadians out there, happy Canada weekend. That
works?
Flow.
Yeah.
Doesn't.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, hit us up in the comments below. Shoot us an email, news@mspmedia.tv. We want to hear from you. But until next Tuesday, take care of yourselves and each other.
Be safe.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.
In the NCE program, since March 10th, I completely hosed this whole thing, you guys. Hold on. I'm gonna have to restart from the beginning. I apologize. Okay, ready?
All right, I can't say commitment apparently, so it's all good.
Can't say commitment? What do you mean?
Well, when I was doing my story, I was butchering it, so don't worry about it.